What do you need? Like, if you're, and we're not being recorded apparently. So everything before this was secret. So yeah, if you're not feeling right, have a conversation with somebody. If you need to talk to somebody in the office, give me a call. Um, Give anybody a call. We got a lot of really good agents who are great to bounce ideas and opinions and just how you doing conversations. How you doing? You have to say it like that, by the way. How you doing? Um, this is a mind map of a book that I have in my bag right now called "Who Moved My Cheese." And it is a great parable for what's going on in the market right now. Yeah, read it in a while. It's a little fable story about four mice in a maze, and somebody moves the cheese. So that's your market right now, and your clients need to have an understanding of that. Like say the $2.4 million teardown. Um, COVID restrictions happening every day. Your cheese is moving about every hour. So if you're not adapting your business, if you're not adapting your conversations, if you haven't already started reaching out to your database and saying, "Hey, how you guys doing? Anything you need? How can I help you out? Any questions on the market?" Because you're in a situation where, as a real estate agent, the idea that your clients have about the value of their home was 6 weeks ago. There's a great quote from Draft Day. So it's a movie. It's a sports movie. It's a football movie. Kevin Costner, where it's like, I'm sorry, that world doesn't exist anymore. That was 30 seconds ago. And then I won't quote the next part because it's got profanity. But yeah, that's where you are right now. And your clients still think when their house was $1.2 million, the $2.4 million teardown might be worth 1.8 right now because that's how fast the market is shifting. It might be shifting from single family to condos. So the quicker you are at staying abreast of that, we have Craig Woodward on today to talk about some of the things that may be happening on the stress test. So we'll get to him in about 2 seconds, right after some stats. Here's your heads up, Craig, and then we'll jump into the managing broker stuff. But just be aware, like share ideas, share opinions, start chatting on our closed groups on WhatsApp or Facebook, just so you guys are in tune and finding out what's going on in there. And it's regional. You know, what's happening in Abbotsford there, Mr. Johnson, might be different than what's happening in Poco, might be different what's happening in Surrey, definitely different than what's happening downtown Vancouver. All right. So don't lose track of your cheese. Everybody likes cheese. All right. Couple of dates to pay attention to. Red Day. It stands for Renew, Energize, and Donate. It's not just a random color. It does happen to be the KW color, but Red Day. So once a year, we shut down our offices, and I call it the day we like to pretend to know how to do stuff. Usually we go out in the community and we renovate something for somebody. We've done assisted living houses, we've done dog shelters, we've done all kinds of stuff. This year we are anticipating we will not be allowed to get together in a big group of people and do stuff. So we're going to finalize what our activity is going to be, but start planning that on May 13th, you're going to do something in your local community and take pictures of it, put on a red shirt if you don't have a Red Day shirt, and just go back and donate, give to the community. That might be doing a donation that you don't have to make public. But one of the things, we do get a lot of support for realtors through Red Day and through the offices. So yeah, we want to make sure it's a big splash. So participate, do something. It's a good day to show up and do something. How's that? And that is May 13th, 2021. We are looking at doing a donation, like a food drive to local shelters, and then going out in the community and picking up garbage. I'm going to go out on the 12th and litter like a madman, and I'll go back on the 13th to pick it up. You don't know if I'm joking or not. I don't know. I don't know. The other thing to pay attention to, Canada, for the first time ever, KW Canada is hosting a national Ignite. Ignite is the basics of real estate. So this is Ignite 2.0. It's been revamped over the last year. It is all digital. It's going to run from 8:30 in the morning till 11:30. Not every day. It's going to run 3 days a week. But the dates are May 4th to June 3rd. Generally, Ignite is for anybody who's kind of newer, building their business in their career. But there's a ton of great information. The instructors are national icons this time, so we have the benefit of pulling from all over Canada, and yeah, it's going to be a high level of education. We'll get you more information as soon as we have more information, but the dates are May 4th to June 3rd, so pay attention to that. That's going to be awesome. Whee! All right, welcome to the KW family. We got Kara, we got Drew, we got Leah, we got Craig, we got Allison, who's on the call today. So everybody, awesome. Beckman, Gary, and We have two Gary Dolly Walls now, just to make it fun. Brent Raymond, I can vouch for his golf game, and Mr. Mitchell. So welcome to KW. And let's talk some numbers. So if you're feeling a little COVID overwhelmed, if you're feeling a little crazy, there's some justification for it. So here's our year over year March comparisons. And yeah, those numbers are right. So our agent count, we're sitting at 329 agents. You're all awesome. Closed units, 381 closed units in March of 2021. That's only a 129% increase over last year. Now, do you guys remember March last year? Because it was nuts. Debbie raised a hand. What's your hand, Debbie? I don't have the chat room open. Somebody asked for me. Josh, be my wingman. So last March.
Hey, what am I winging on?
Debbie raised a hand, which means she has a question. Her digital hand.
Oh, got it. Okay, I'll pay attention.
Just go ahead and ask your question, Debbie.
Unmute, Debbie.
Debbie left. Debbie will be back in a minute. She's like, how do I make my internet work? Okay. So anyway, 381 closed units, up 129%. Closed sales volume up 151%. These are big numbers. Listings taken, 338, up 95%. Listings taken volume, up 95%. Listings sold, 189, up 155%. Volume, up 151%. Look at contracts written. 566 contracts versus 202 the year before. That's up 180%. There you go. Debbie's having technical difficulties. That's okay. We won't hold it against you. We've all been there. We've all shown uncomfortable body parts on Zoom. Yeah, contracts written volume up 201%. But look at that number of contracts. So when you're talking to the admin team, be nice, because they're processing every single one of those contracts. That is insane growth, people. If you're like, anything in your business goes up 180%. Imagine if you were 180% busier today than you were yesterday, because that's what we're talking about. Awesome. Good job. Keep it coming. Not complaining about the volume. Keep your cards and letters coming. Closed gross commission up 38%. Average sale price is up almost 10%. So the lift we're seeing is all over the place, and profit share is up 41%. So we've put $53,495 in our agents' pockets so far this year, which is a pretty good run. So we want to keep that. When I look at the numbers, look at the trends, we are ramping up towards definitely towards June, and we do live in a world where the cheese moves every freaking day. So pay attention to your market, pay attention to your clients, and to stay in touch with your clients. I've actually had a lot of conversations with agents who have the unfortunate situation of having their neighbor, their best friend, in one case a relative, close relative, list their property with somebody else. So don't assume that your clients are and your customers and your family and your friends are going to phone you. Are they thinking of you as the real estate agent of choice? Are you the first call, as I like to put it? Are you the magnet on their fridge, right? And when was the last time you talked to them? When you're talking to competing agents, ask your clients, or talking to competing clients, ask when the last time. Don't ask if they have a real estate agent. Ask when the last time they talked to their real estate agent was, because in a lot of cases it's going to be a year ago, and that's fair game, in my opinion. All right, March cappers. A couple of people in the 100% club. Felicia, Carrie, Trish, Tanya, Devin. It took Devin about 4 minutes to cap. That's crazy. Good for him. Colleen, Bryce, Mr. Garbett, Tyler, Rippin, Scott Leaf, Jordan McNabb, Renee Sandu. How come Jordan capped, but Russ hasn't? I think he capped last month. Harnu, I say Renee. TJ, Nav, Mr. Sinclair, and Seema Sood. So we celebrate cappers not because you gave us money, it's because now you're keeping 100% of your revenue, and we want you to ramp that up. That little 98.2 on the Toque is where our top performers, what their actual split is. And I say top percent, I mean top 20%. We want you to pay us as little as a cost of sales percentage as possible. We're weird that way. Cool. So congratulations. All right, let's talk about the home run list. This is my favorite report because it's a listing taken, a contract written, and a contract closed, which means you did real estate stuff. I had to make a new slide. There are 85 people on this list today, which is fan-flippin-tastic. Our goal is to have 339 people on this list today, which would be amazing because we have 329 agents. growth. Yeah, congratulations. Scroll down the list. I'm not going to read you off because it'll be like a weird birthday greetings on a national television show. But if your name's not on this list, talk to somebody whose name is and find out how they did it and what they did and how they do it consistently. Right? Reach out to an ALC member and ask them. Because yeah, when you're doing this, that means you've got something in your pipeline, you've got something ready to go to the bank, and you're taking a check, which is pretty good. In other words, business. All right, here's our top performers. Yay! We got pictures now. It's very exciting. I have to remember everybody's name. So, top listing tickets for individual. We have Jason Sadu, Renee Sandu, John Aurora, Steven Sadu, Brad Kofflow. Look at that. I know faces. Zach, number one for listings sold. Renee, Pav, Mr. Breckold, and Gary Dollywall. Fantastic. So, congratulations. Or Gary Badisha. Whoops. I used the real name, not the fake name. Who's that? Someone's talking. Bam. All right. Written volume, Jason Sadu, Renee Sandu, Julie Ramirez, Mr. Tour, Gary, and then on the bottom for I got it blocked, but anyway, VJ, Zach, Renee, Rob, and Tanya Croteau. So congratulations, everybody. And then top GCI, the top performer, VJ. Maybe that's why he's buying the fancy Mercedes that was actually a joke. He's not actually buying that car. The Tesla, he doesn't have room for it with the Tesla. So we got VJ, Zach, Rob, Renee, and Pav. It's a dapper looking picture of Pav. All right, top performing groups. We have our teams. We have the Bath Mackay, Hubers, Thornton Group, the Abode Real Estate Group, and Lap Real Estate Group. And then listing sold, Bath Mackay. See, Josh backs away from the business and it goes up. What's going on, Josh? What's happening? It's weird. You should take
I don't know, but they sure don't want me back. I'll tell you that.
I think you're busier now than you were when you were actually back to your business.
That's
All right, so Bath Mackay Group, the Huber team, the Lap Real Estate Group, number 3, Thornton Real Estate Group, and Sonny Brar and Associates. Woo! And then written volume, the Huber team, Bath Mackay, Lap Real Estate Group, the Thornton Group, the Abode Real Estate Group, and then for closed volume, the Thornton Group, number 1, selling big ticket items, the Huber team, Bath Mackay, Lap Real Estate Group, and Sonny Brar and Associates. So if you're running a team and you're not on this list again, talk to one of these guys and find out what you're doing to run their business. If you're an individual agent and you want to know what's going on, talk to these guys. And top GCI for the top teams, the Thornton Group at number 1. I don't know when he has time to sell real estate, when he's not barbecuing or, living life on a patio somewhere. But anyway, apparently it works. The Huber team, Bath Mackay, Lap Real Estate Group, and the Nikki and Brian team. Cool. 222. Sold out. And then when we get to the top groups, we have PMG, Partners Marketing Group. They're going crazy. Danny and Claudio, the Omni Real Estate Group, Garbutt and Duma Real Estate. I heard a rumor that the Omni Real Estate Group is about to put forth the largest deal in our brokerage's history. I'm just saying. Can't say anything yet. Shh. Secret. Garbutt and Duma and the McNabs. And then as far as listings sold, Partners Marketing Group, Garbutt and Duma, Danny and Claudio, Market Real Estate Group, and then the Omni Group. And then we get the written volume, Partners Marketing Group, Garbutt and Duma, Versity, Get in team, Danny and Claudio, the McNabs. See, if you're on the meeting and I know you're here, I give you the thumbs up. It's like a gold sticker. It's good. PMG for anyway, Garbutt and Duma, Versity, this Real City Group, and Danny and Claudio. Consistency. And then let's talk about Money in the Bank for GCI. Number 1, the Garbutt and Duma. Number 2, the Partners Marketing Group. Number 3, the Versity Group. Number 4, the Real City Group, and number 5, Danny and Claudio. So congratulations, everybody. Rock and roll. If you want to know where you sit in the office standings, let me know. I have a 43-page report with everybody's name on it who's producing something. So if you want to know, if you want to advertise your stats, give me a buzz and I will get that to you. So I love doing paperwork late at night. It's fun. All right, cool. There it is. We're going to talk to our managing brokers. Actually, before we talk to our managing brokers, Craig Woodward. Unmute yourself, man. Craig, Bueller. He's probably on the phone talking to a client. All right. Somebody tap Craig on the shoulder. Anyway, Craig is going to pop in and give us some insight as to what's possibly happening with the stress test. I think we've all heard that.
Hey, he's back out.
There he is. There he is.
And my computer has about 4%, so I'm just going to plug this in while we're talking.
Fuck that.
I just wanted to basically follow up on a cafe post that I did just a couple days ago. On April 8th, there was an announcement that the Bank of Canada is looking at increasing the stress test or the qualifying rate for getting a mortgage. So currently it's at 4.79%, and they're projecting 5.25%. So the dates that are most important to think about is basically June 1st is what they're anticipating the effective date. Right now, it's just a proposed change. It's not approved yet. But chances are, if they've announced it, it's to prepare everybody, so it probably will go through. They've listed that it's on uninsured mortgages, so 20% or more down, but more than likely it will affect all buyers, but we don't know. We don't have confirmation yet. The biggest concern is obviously if you have clients that you're trying to fit them with a property right now, if they don't find a place, relatively soon, their purchasing power could go down. That's one side. And the next side would be is if you've got some pre-construction clients that are completing in, say, October, November, December, or even the next year. If they were right on that line, you've really got to make sure to kind of revisit that application with the broker and make sure that they're qualified for a higher stress test. Because if they're not, you want to have as much time as possible to come up with that extra down payment or extra co-borrower or whatever needs to happen to make sure that that deal goes through properly. Yeah, any questions at all?
Yes. Did you mention or not, was there a plan to revisit this annually?
Sorry, the stress test, or?
Yeah. Were they going to take a look at it on an annual basis?
It can get reviewed basically anytime the Bank of Canada meets up, so they can change it at any given point.
Okay.
Yeah, so that can change.
I know they when I read the article, there were two articles that I read on it, and one was, of course, they pressed pause because of COVID. This was something that they were planning on doing prior to COVID. Then COVID hit, and they basically said no. Now that they brought it back up again, it sounds like it's a good thing, and it even sounds. I did read something in there that they were going to look at it now on an annual basis, so we can expect that there should be some kind of an adjustment annually, which could be good, could be bad, depending on where rates go.
Yeah.
Craig, do you think if interest rates were to go up, that the gap between like the posted rate and the 2% might narrow? Do you think the 2% might drop down to 1.75 or 1 just to keep it fair?
Well, there's a debate. Like, there's a lot of controversy with that right now because a lot of people, brokers and other people, they think that our interest rates, their qualifying rate is, or the stress test rate is actually too high, right? And that's because interest rates are so low. The formula is basically contract rate plus 2% or the stress test rate or qualifying rate, and they go with the greater of the two, right? So right now with interest rates as low as 1.59 with certain lending institutions, I mean, why are we qualifying for soon to be 5.25 when really it's only 3.59? So there's controversy on both sides. You could argue that once COVID's over, right, you're going to see a big spike in your interest rates again. Just like it was previous to COVID. We were going up just like a rocket.
Well,
but we've got a massive deficit that we have to recover as well. So you could kind of argue both sides to that.
It's plausible that interest rates could go up. It's not the only source of income the government's going to look towards when they need to pay back this printed money for CERB and everything else. But it certainly will be one of them.
Yeah.
It's freaky. So they're really punishing the rich because anyone with 20% down or more is getting tagged on a higher rate. And they're also having to pay a higher interest rate. So anyone that's 10% or 20% or less, essentially, they get the better interest rates. They do have to pay a CMHC fee or an insurance fee, but they seem to get a better interest. Is that true, or is that am I a little off on that comment?
There are better interest rates for insured files, and if you go back, say 10, 15 years, it used to be the opposite. The more money you put down, the better rate that you got. And now the lenders have figured it out where actually the less money you put down, the more secure it is for the lenders. And the reason for that is it's insured. So the lenders are guaranteed their money. So if you put down 5% and you default, they get their money no matter what. If you put 20% down and you default, they're not guaranteed their money back. So there's less risk, means a better interest rate for the clients.
For sure. And I guess the banks don't really want to own real estate. So here we are. Yeah.
But a lot of people, I get a lot of clients going, oh, well, I'll make it an insured mortgage because that's such a better interest rate. It never works out in your favor to pay an insurance premium and get a lower interest rate than it would be to put the 20% down.
Yeah.
Or I haven't found it so far.
It's just psychological. Paying a higher interest rate than what could be given out there in the market sucks. Yeah. Good
And
point.
just because the stress test or qualifying rate has or is potentially changing does not mean the interest rates will be changing with it. It's not the Bank of Canada, it's not the overnight lending rate, but it is an indication that you may see changes in the overnight lending rate. You may see other changes as well, right? But this alone, the stress test or qualifying rate, does not indicate a rate change or a change in prime for variable mortgages.
Yeah. Well, all right. Anybody else have any questions?
Josh is monopolizing this time.
Yeah, I'm rather verbose. Yes.
Sorry, verbose. Is that on the word of the day calendar? Nice.
Actually, I have a question.
I do have a question. Oh, go ahead, Gail.
Let's go ladies first, Gail, and then Nick.
Okay. And I'm sorry, this isn't about mortgages. This is about something else. So should I ask this question now, or should I wait for the managing broker section?
Let's
Sorry.
focus on mortgages first, and then we'll jump into MB.
Okay.
So,
I'll digress then. I'll wait.
you're up.
This is really to all the veteran agents, just in regards to what's happening specifically with the lending and also the market. What is your opinion? Do we feel like we're going to see a bit of a retraction on pricing and a bit of a lull here, or is anyone worried, I guess, is sort of the question.
It's a crystal ball question.
Yeah, it is a crystal, but it's really through experience is what I'm wondering, because it's, those who went through 2016, 2017, did it feel similar? Was it something similar to that?
Yeah. No, not even close. No, I don't fear a retraction whatsoever. There's certainly been, you can see by the numbers Ron posted, just if we used our office as a petri dish on a grander scale, everybody's experiencing numbers on some level like that. But the rates, even if they were to go up, I don't think that's going to impact purchasing. And I doubt that it's going to, it might pull back, retract some buyers, but sellers are still going to dig their heels in on price. We need to see something catastrophic happen. There needs to be some version of a black swan that will come in and wipe us out. And at this point, if we were to say end COVID, that's not your black swan. That's heading in the positive direction. So it's most likely people are still going to want security. We might just have fewer buyers than we currently do have right now. We have more buyers than we have listings. Although if you watch your stats on Paragon, the listings on a daily basis are tripling the number of sales being posted. So I certainly don't see a sharp drop. If there's a soft landing, it's a soft landing, but I wouldn't suggest in any way to my clients that we're going to see a 10% retraction on price. I doubt we'd see any of it. In fact, I feel like we might be coming off the blade of the hockey stick and back onto the shaft. So, and we're not there yet. So we could be going laterally for a little while, but we're still not there. You wait, when condos start going insane, and I don't think they have yet, but when condos start going insane, that marks the end. And then that's when the party ends. And then once that ends, like 2018 wasn't a drastic drop. 2019 didn't suck, but things sold. 2019 wasn't any better than 2018. There was no massive market correction. And I remember selling homes in 2019 where the prices were still at that point where I'm like, man, this is not a deal in my mind, but buyers are buying. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. I'm sure someone else has something to say.
Yeah, looking at the stats, we saw about a 12% drop from 2018 to 2019, and then we saw a 30% lift in 2000 to 2019, right? So, it was quick, and of course, there's some averaging we saw. Agents get out of the business because it's low hanging fruit has gone away. We had a lot of conversations with our agents about managing the conversation, right, with your clients and their expectations. But being able to market your product for 30 days on market is not a bad thing.
I just one last thought on this. I mean, it's not just Canada that's printing money from the basement. It's the world. Like everyone is doing some pretty creative things on trying to keep their economies going, and at the same time still trying to be safe by imposing stay-at-home orders. And so businesses are suffering. We're going to see, I think, a hollowing out of small businesses in your local communities. I have a feeling that'll take place. But worldwide, I mean, I don't know. Then the black swan might just be that, hey, they're going to pull the curtain back and realize the money they printed, how are they going to pay that back? I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but there's not going to be, I don't suspect, a sharp drop. 2008, when we had the market from 2002 to 2008, it was May of 2008 specifically that the market stopped. Time stood still. But like Ron just said, it was relatively quick for the turnaround. It turned around back in February of 2009, but the market literally did stop for those months. But come 2009, the market picked itself back up again. There was definitely an adjustment of pricing, but not substantial. And we moved forward till 2013. And when we moved into 2014, things really felt healthy. And by the end of 2014, we were back into multiple offers. And then 2015 is the year that most of Shanghai came over to Vancouver and started buying because they were afraid of what was going to happen with their money in their country. So there's nothing to worry about here. This is business as usual. Even if it corrects a little bit, it's absolutely healthy.
Excellent. Any other questions for Mr. Woodward? I miss your chain of stores, by the way. I used to like shopping at Woodward.
Great cafeteria, right?
Great cafeteria. That Woco. Anyway. X retail. That's good. All right, cool. Moving on to managing brokers then, and Gail's burning question. Thank you, Craig. All right, Josh, take her away.
Well, let's shine the light on Carol and Michael. You guys, Michael, are you in here? I see you. Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me now?
I can. One of these days, I'd like to see you wear your duck bill just like you have in your picture.
I got 3 of them upstairs. Actually, 4 of them upstairs.
Yeah, wonderful. I've got one. Gail, go ahead. What was your question?
Okay, so it's a rental question. So I have a client who is looking at buying a property, and it's a manufactured home. Okay, don't judge, just bear with me here. It's what he wants, it's what he's gonna get. Because it's a new tenancy, they have increased the rental pad fee like significantly, like a couple $100 from what the listing says. Thoughts? Like, is that right? Is that they supposedly have talked to the residential tenancy board? Like, what's going on?
I think you have a couple of questions in there, Gail. This manufactured home is on a rental pad, correct?
It's on a rental pad, yes.
So obviously there's an agreement between the owner of that land and the owner of that manufactured home.
Yes.
Right. So they control the pad rent on that unit. Now you're saying that this manufactured home is presently tenanted?
Now with that, I'm sorry, say that again.
Are you also saying that the unit presently is tenanted or not?
No, it's owner occupied, but everybody there, you don't own the land. All right. So you rent the pad. As an owner, you rent the pad and there's a pad fee. Okay.
And I don't believe that pad rentals are subject to the Residential Tenancy Act.
I know there is a different Residential Tenancy Manufactured Act. I was just curious if anybody had run into this before, because we sell so many of these things, honest to God.
You're at the mercy of the landlord on these ones, in my opinion.
Okay.
Agreed,
All right. I was
Michael,
just
because
curious.
it's like a commercial type thing, and so it'd be more like a lease, which does not follow the Residential Tenancy Act. So it'll follow lease agreements, is what I would look at that way.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to have a little bit of knowledge on that part because this is my first manufactured home. Yay me! So excited. All right.
That's why you get
Thank you.
paid the big bucks, Gail.
I know, right? I'm just like, wow, really? Very good. Okay. Thank you so much.
You'll never go back. Just go back quick.
Well, Michael, Carol, let's talk about the new strata requirements when it comes to taking listings on MLS. What can you share with us around that?
Well, you know, as everyone knows, as an office, we broker load our listings, so obviously we do it in house. So we're not physically sending our listings into the real estate board, but there's a new requirement in the rules of cooperation that now, thank goodness, the agent now has to actually order the documents before he gets an offer. So he actually order the documents upon listing and provide proof to us. If we were sending listings directly to the real estate board, we would have to send proof with the listing. But the onus is on us and on me as a broker that that requirement is met and that we hold on to that information. And if requested by the real estate board, that we have to submit proof of that documentation ordering. I know there's several provisions in there. We don't want all your strata docs uploaded to Command. And in my opinion, I think that's going over the top. I mean, there's two ways to do it. If you ordered them in advance, you could provide us that first cover page, which shows what you ordered, and submit that with your listing. Or you can submit the request form for strata documentation that you find on web forms.
So, Michael, just to be clear, what you're saying is, in addition to what the rules of cooperation have always stated, that a listing agent must order strata documents upon taking the listing, or at the earliest convenience, if it's a Sunday, then Monday. But now our brokerage is requiring some proof of those documents having been ordered. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's correct. We actually have to provide proof. So they need to upload with their listing, you know, all the documentation they presently require and proof that strata documentation has been either ordered or received.
Okay. And just for further clarification, is this a KW Elite thing that we're imposing on our agents?
No, it's I would think that it's in the rules of cooperation, so it affects the three boards.
It does, right. So when agents get a little bit ornery about why we haven't submitted a listing when that document isn't present with their listing documents, understand that this goes beyond the office requesting that. This is an actual requirement.
And how many of us on the buy side, when we're working with a buyer and we find a unit we want to buy and they've got showings Friday, Saturday, and offers Tuesday, and the listing agent doesn't have strata docs, how pissed off does that make you? You know, how do you advise your client as to what to do when the listing agent doesn't even have all the strata docs yet? So I think this is a real plus for the industry.
Yeah. Carol, have you ever like, in this is a fast market, so obviously order the documents right away, but have you ever been experienced in a slower market where listing's been on the market for 30 days, 40 days, you show it and you would like to get the documents, but the realtor says, well, make me an offer, then I'll order the documents?
Yeah, and personally, I don't know how they can even list it because they won't know rentals. They won't know age restrictions. They won't know all the bylaws. So to actually put that on the data input, I don't even know how they could even properly list that property.
Oh, for sure. But if I can check out another previously listed or sold listing in there and I find the information on that MLS data, why don't I just use that?
Well, because it can change. and you shouldn't be doing that. We can put you in realtor jail for that one.
Darn tootin', you can go to jail for that one.
Yeah. No, you should, your stuff should be current, period. And I can understand waiting on the Form B, because if something doesn't go in 30 days, you're going to have to buy another Form B again. And I realize there's a rush cost on that at times. I've heard, like $135, $200, etc. But if the companies are now, a lot of them, what I see is they're actually posting the strata documents online. So pull them from there. And you should be able to have everything but the Form B. If not, then you have to have your order form, is what Michael said. Yeah,
correct. Yeah, I think it's great policy. Certainly, it just it levels up our professionalism in the eyes of our industry and amongst our peers. It's just wonderful.
I mean, I had a listing in South Surrey. What was that, last year? No, year before, end of 2019. And I think I ended up ordering 4 or 5 Form Bs just to stay current. I mean, it's,
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Been there.
it's a cost of doing business. It's not like, something that you can do later.
What are some other documents that are mandatory? Well, this is a bit different, but mandatory in the sense that we have to either put them on our associated documents or get permission from our sellers not to, written instructions from our sellers not to.
Well, obviously, your seller could request that a different way of ordering StrataDocs potentially, and maybe not forwarding them on to someone upon request. But it says here in that last memo that came out that we have to, upon a request from the cooperating brokerage after the seller and buyer have an accepted offer of contract to purchase and sale, provide to the cooperating brokerage current relevant strata documentation. Unless the listing brokerage has received written instructions from the seller not to provide all or some of the documents described herein. And I could list them all off, but I mean, at the end of the day, you also have to note that in the private realtor remarks. You
do, yeah. But like Carol said, why would someone even do that? The information changes. It's just goofy.
Yeah, and I think that if the seller's holding back StrataDocs, I hope that's a red flag for everyone. And they start to wonder, well, why are they wanting to hold back strata documentation?
Yeah, I love it, because one of the things that I learned, one of the things that was an aha for me when I was on the revision team of the Rules of Cooperation was that our title searches are absolutely, they have to be posted on associated documents. I had no idea that was a thing where they had to be. Once I was part of that committee, I'm like, okay, from that point on, our brokerage does it already anyway, so that's wonderful. But yeah, this strata documents is a smart move for sure. Gail, your hand is raised. Is it from the previous question? Your arm must be getting sore. Is it a new question? There we go. Okay, thanks. What else is going on in the world of managing brokers that you found interesting or you want to share?
Well, had just some of the things I've experienced in the last few weeks. Parking in strata, especially when they're section stratas. One of our agents is dealing with a situation right now where you've got commercial and residential. The listing agent took him down, showed him the side-by-side parking, and buyer said great, and he said great. And upon moving in, we found out that those parking stalls were actually commercial stalls that she showed him and not theirs. So their parking stalls actually are one level down and they are tandem. So we're trying to figure out how to go through this scenario where the buyer's extremely unhappy. So really pay attention with parking stalls if they talk about levels as far as where they're located. And unfortunately, you'd like to believe the listing agent every time, but you should also confirm whether that information is correct or not.
It's another good reason to take a look at the Form B and then follow the instructions from a Form B. They're not always accurate. I must say that, but they're usually more accurate than the listing agent.
Yes, correct. But then again, on the Form B, if it's saying, I think this was level, I think the commercial ones were on level 1 and this was a level 2. So the listing agent made a mistake showing him the commercial spots that were side by side when they actually were one level down.
Unfortunately, that sounds like a legitimate claim, potentially. It
does potentially, but I mean, another reason that we don't want to put our buyers in a situation like that, that we're always verify everything that you do.
Kudos, Michael, kudos to our agent for at least saying, hey, let's go take a look, physically look at the parking stall. Like I would, high five the agent for that right out of the gate. To plus it would be to take the Form B in hand and then absolutely verify. You got that document. Now you're physically seeing it with you or your buyer and the listing agent. You should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Title searches you were talking about being posted on associated documents within 24 hours of the listing coming live. And our office does a lot of that for us, right?
Yes.
As far as posting the title. Please, everybody, order the documents on the title so you know what you're selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cost of doing business, but I mean, you've got to know what you're selling. So you're not making a mess of all that. We had another interesting one where I guess in this COVID era and Zoom and everything else that's going on, we got more and more agents selling property all over the province. Anywhere. Well, we had one where one of our agents got into multiples up north, and they actually won the property with deposit due within 24 hours. Our agent didn't know how to facilitate the deposit on a weekend. So being that they were in a big, a relatively the largest city up north, which is Prince George, they could have facilitated, they could have had that conversation earlier. How are we going to do it? Are we going to do a wire transfer and then write that in our offer? Are you going to go into our branch in Prince George and deposit directly on Monday? Instead, our agent chose to go to his own bank Monday morning and pull a draft from his own account with his name on it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we don't know yet where that's going, but unfortunately, that's one of those things where you have to make a report to council.
Hey, Michael, show of hands with everyone here. Who's ever written a deposit on behalf of your clients? Don't show your hands. Don't show your hands.
I've never seen it before. That's the first one I've ever seen. So everybody, your buyer has to facilitate the deposit, not yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There are better ways to get the money to your client than writing the check directly yourself.
And the crazy thing is, if his name was not on the draft, they would have never known.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it would have just been accepted, but it had our realtor's name right on the draft.
Michael or Carol, either or, explain why that's a problem.
Well, number one, it's against the council rules 100%. You cannot be giving any kind of money regardless to any client, period. It cannot come from your account. You cannot take it from your account. What could have happened in that situation, maybe the agent could have asked a relative to have done a deposit and then had the receipt of funds and stuff like that. But as agents, we cannot do that. It's against council rules 100%.
It's the purest form of conflict of interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I used to know an agent back we're going back 30 years ago. She's still in the industry. She used to loan her buyers the deposits by way of promissory note and take an application fee and an interest, collect interest on the money loaned out, and had quite a little side hustle. I know that if this agent doesn't do that anymore, but if that was discovered today, that would be trouble.
Isn't that entrepreneurial?
Certainly. Certainly.
Creative.
Yeah, creative. Conflict of interest. Yeah.
Okay, Gail Beck has definitely raised her hand.
Oh.
Okay, so question about deposits is it possible to electronically transfer deposits for, not for me, but a client? Like, is that possible? Do we do that? If so, do I just talk to conveyancing about that and the details?
Wire transfer, and yes, it's possible, but you almost need to go to school to do it, because far too often has money been wire transferred over with zero link to the agent that was responsible for the deal, the buyer involved in the transaction, or even an address. And so now we've got 75,000 or 50,000 sitting in a trust account. We have no clue on whose behalf that money's being held for. So go to school, learn how to do it, talk to Michaela and Naomi. It's something we would prefer not to do, but we do it. I believe there's also, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's a charge for it as well too. There's an administrative fee that we have to pay. I'm not sure what that amount is, but it's not $1, it's more. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I guess the administration fee in regards to deposits, that gets really interesting when we're looking at that money in trust accounts.
Jeez, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's really hard when all of a sudden the bank's taking money out of your trust in relation to that wire transfer.
What I want to ask everybody a question in respect to, so everybody in the room, with respect to the money that your brokerage holds by way of deposits in our trust account, obviously that money collects interest. It accrues interest. And some deposits are very large. The amount of money in that account is quite large from month to month, and there's a large amount of interest. Does anybody know where that interest money goes? The profit, if you will. I know, Carol, you know. Michael, I know you know. Yeah, you guys are exempt from answering the question. Does anybody know where that money goes? I bet if we attach a gift to the winning answer, we would get probably a response or two.
I'll give them a copy of Who Moved My Cheese.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone in there that knows the answer to that question? Where does this interest money go?
Iris,
Type quickly.
Yeah, okay. There's no answer. Well, and I'm not surprised. I only learned it recently when I started teaching new member orientation. I had no clue. In fact, I didn't really care. It never crossed my mind, but now I know. So, Carol, where does it go?
Financial Tribune. So it goes into the account where they can use towards educating and stuff like that, so they can pull it out. So it's called the Financial Tribune.
Real estate compensation fund. Yes.
Yeah.
No, foundation.
No.
It's a foundation, financial foundation. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
And then the foundation uses that for education purposes, or for society things, or different things that can happen with the municipalities and stuff like that as well.
You got
different purposes. Yeah.
Yeah, they re-educate and they do a fantastic job with that money. Yeah.
Now, there's also a lot of trust accounts. I used to deal with them when I worked in the bank that are non-interest bearing as well, that lawyers' trusts will use and stuff, because I used to manage them. So not all trust accounts earn interest as well.
Thank you very much for that. That was awesome. Ron, I have no doubt you're probably wanting to give me the hook right now, or all of us. So did you want, hang on, there's a question in the chat.
There is a note from the conveyancing department regarding the wire transfer saying, also make sure that you wire with enough time for the receiving institution to receive it in time as per clauses with the CPS, and that all sending information is correct or it will be denied, meaning you do not meet the contract's obligations. Dun, 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 dun.
Also, Iris, you know what? Technically, we should almost give Iris a Who Moved My Cheese book. She did answer, although her answer was a little off the path, but it was still a great answer. She's saying this money goes to council. It does not. In fact, no, it doesn't.
I'm giving Iris the book anyway because she's the only one who answered.
I think it's great reason to give her the book. Yes, Carol did too, but we don't care.
Caller's gonna her a nice steak or something. It's gonna be great.
Back to deposits for a minute. It all seems so simple, but make sure you explain deposits. You explain how they're going to be paid, when they have to be due. There was a realtor that in a Fraser Valley Real Estate Board hearing in March of 2021 was found to not do those things, and they actually were in breach of contract. And the buyer claimed they didn't know, and they weren't informed by the realtor.
What was it that they did? Sorry?
Well, a realtor from Remax Performance failed to protect the interests of her client by not advising her of the correct date and time the deposit was due on the home she was purchasing, and by not prompting and advising her client of the potential breach of contract, which had arisen due to the fact the deposit was received later than the allowable time frame, as was noted on the contract of purchase and sale. So, I mean, we do have to educate our clients so they understand. I mean, that's part of our duties and our responsibilities to make sure that all this stuff happens in a timely manner. I mean, she didn't get fined any money, but she's being forced into some remedial education. But those are situations where you don't want to be in.
Did the buyer, her buyer client, still get the property?
It doesn't say.
Okay, because that is an option for the seller to back out of the contract.
Pardon me?
That's an option where the seller could back out of the contract.
I mean, it doesn't tell me when this transaction took place.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously, if we had a time and date, we would know whether we're in the lather that we're in now or whether it was maybe a slightly softer market where, you know, the sellers are maybe willing to grant a little more leniency.
Sure.
Right. So
Cool. Well, thank you, Carol. Thank you, Michael, and for all your questions. Much appreciated. Thank you. Mr. Ron, back to you.
All right. Going once, going twice. Red Day, May 13th, all day long. Day to go out and do nice stuff. Score karma points, brownie points, whatever kind of points you want. Just be nice in your community. Go support a local business. Go clean a path. And we will send you information about the food drive and what we're going to do, how we're going to coordinate that. Josh has a truck. So, you know, if you just want to see Josh, great opportunity to just hang out with him. It'll be fun. Anybody have any needs or wants? Perfect. Anybody have a buyer who needs a property? Just checking. Anyway, $2.4 million teardown. All right. Everybody play safe. Be good. Look after yourselves. Look after your family. And let's get through this dang thing. I don't want to have any more COVID conversations. There's a country in Europe that banned the word or a town that banned the word coronavirus. I like that idea. We'll just call it Bob. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for playing.